When you're standing in a medium-sized conference room and wondering whether the next video calling system will actually make the meetings feel less like a technical nightmare, that hesitation is real. You've probably seen a wall of sleek hardware in a showroom, heard a sales rep promise room-filling audio and crystal-clear 4K video, and then wondered if you'll end up paying a premium for a setup that still leaves you shouting into a mic or adjusting the camera every 5 minutes. That's the exact angle I'm taking today, helping you decide if the Logitech Rally Bar with the Sight Room Kit is worth the investment for your space, or if you'd be better off sticking with a simpler solution. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the type of room this system is built for. The Rally Bar is marketed as an all-in-one solution for medium to large meeting spaces, meaning you're looking at a room that can comfortably seat 8 to 12 people, maybe even a bit more if you have a rectangular layout. If you're a small startup that only ever needs a tabletop webcam, this is probably overkill. Conversely, if you've got a boardroom where you run weekly strategy calls, client presentations, and occasional webinars, the size of the room is exactly where the Rally Bar starts to make sense. The included Sight Room Kit adds a ceiling-mountable microphone array and a speaker bar, which together promise to spread sound evenly across the space. The idea is that you won't have to chase a rogue speaker or ask someone to repeat themselves because they're sitting at the far end of the table. One of the biggest concerns people have before pulling the trigger on a system like this is the actual ease of installation. The Rally Bar itself is a single, sleek unit that hangs just below the display. In the field, installers report that you can mount it with a standard Visa bracket in under an hour, assuming you already have a display ready. The microphone and speaker components of the Sight Kit are also designed to be ceiling-mounted, which means you won't be cluttering the table with extra hardware. That said, you still need a bit of technical know-how to run the power and Ethernet cables, and you'll need a compatible USB-C or HDMI connection to your conferencing platform. If you're comfortable pulling a few cables or have an IT person who can handle it, the installation is pretty straightforward. If you're hoping for a completely plug-and-play experience without any wiring, you might run into a few snags. Now, let's get into day-to-day usage. The 4K camera on the Rally Bar automatically frames participants using a combination of wide-angle optics and AI-driven autoframing. In practice, this works well when people are spread out across a long table. People near the edges get captured without the need to manually adjust the zoom. I've seen it keep a remote team of 6 in clear view, even when one participant leans back or moves a bit. The autoframing isn't perfect. If someone steps out of the typical seating area, the camera can take a few seconds to readjust, and the focus can wobble a little if the room is very bright and the lighting changes rapidly. For most business meetings, that slight delay isn't a deal breaker, but if you're planning to use the room for live-stream product demos where every second counts, you may need to manually lock the frame. Audio is where the Sight Kit tries to differentiate itself. The microphone array is designed to pick up voices from across the room while rejecting background noise. In a noisy office hallway, the mics do a decent job of focusing on the people inside the room, and you won't hear a constant hiss or echo. The speakers, placed on the ceiling, disperse sound evenly, which is a nice touch if you're using the system for webinars where you need to play video clips at a consistent volume. One practical weakness shows up when you have a very large room, say, over 30 square meters. Even though the kit claims room-filling audio, the speakers can start to feel underpowered at the far corners, and you might notice a slight dip in volume. For truly large conference halls, you'd probably need a supplemental sound system. Another real-world factor is software integration. Logitech has built-in support for the major platforms Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet through a simple plugin that appears as a single device. That means you don't have to juggle separate camera and microphone settings in the meeting software. Everything is controlled from one interface. The downside is that if you're using a less common platform, you may need to fall back to generic USB audio and video drivers, which can reintroduce the very juggling you hope to avoid. Also, firmware updates are delivered via Logitech software suite, and while they're not frequent, you'll need a Windows or macOS machine to run the update utility. If your organization prefers a completely web-based admin console, you'll have to adapt. Let's talk about value. The Rally Bar,